10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up? How goes it, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe we should throw this up on the screen.
It's going okay for me.
There we go.
I don't mind being covered up by that.
You don't?
Not at all.
We'll leave it on the screen until somebody else shows up. We'll see what's going on. Anyway, I feel like I'm talking to her ass at this point. I'm like, hi, how's it going? You doing well? Nice to meet you. Hey, what's up, geeks? How's everybody out there doing on this fine Saturday afternoon, evening? Evening? Yeah, it's evening by now. It's 7 o'clock my time. So unless you're on the West Coast, it's evening. Deal with it. So I don't know what to say. But yeah, we're here. We're going to talk about some geek stuff. I wanted to start out tonight's chat. So I went out with my wife. I went out. We didn't really do anything. We went to run some errands and stuff. Went out with my wife today. And I had my YouTube playlist. I'm going to tell this story. I told her she should come on the show and tell this story. My YouTube playlist, which is my music. You know, you save songs on YouTube, you know. And I've got it to where my phone, you know, hooks up to my radio in the Suburban. And so because we're in the Suburban and my wife has like freaking XM, Sirius XM radio or whatever, and we were listening to the radio. She's like, I don't like this. I'm like, okay, well, let me put my stuff on for my phone. I'll put my YouTube music on. And so anyway, we're sitting there and like I'm playing some music and we're playing a couple things and she's, you know, she's listening, whatever. I don't know. And by the time we got out of the car, she just looks at me, and I forget exactly what she said. Something along the lines of, what is wrong with you? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I feel like I'm having a schizophrenic breakdown. I'm like, what are you, what? She's like, that is the most uneven playlist of music I've ever heard in my life. She's like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, she's like, are you a serial killer? Because how do you go from one song to the next? There's like none of the songs have anything in common. None of them. So I just wanted to go over real quickly. This is Geek Chat. I don't give a shit. I wanted to go over real quickly some of my playlist. And then, I don't know. Y'all tell me. Is this the sign? My wife thinks it's the sign of somebody who's like a psychotic serial killer. This is just some of my playlist. Okay? This is the order that it was playing in. Star Wars Duel of the Fates epic version. All Along the Watchtower, the version from Battlestar Galactica. Right above it by Lil Wayne, which that jumped directly into some Air Supply, Lost in Love. Then there was the Lonely Island song, Finest Girl, the Bin Laden song. That jumped into My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle, It Folds, which then jumped into Hook by Blues Travelers, which jumped into Boys in the Hood, which, I'm just saying, which then jumped into Surface Pressure, which is a Disney song from Encanto, which went into another song by Jeremy Renner, which went into like a techno song called Do It, Try It, which went into Fastball, The Way from the 90s, which went into a Celine Dion song, the theme song to Deadpool 2, Ashes, which went into Our Lady Peace, Clumsy, and then some Weezer played, and then a metal version of Kiss from a Rose, like a metal version of the Seal song, which went into Toadies, then went into Michael Jackson. Then, for some reason, it played an Oreo cookies commercial from the 1980s. And I could go on and on. My music taste is eclectic and far-ranging. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know. Y'all tell me. Is that the sign of a crazy person? Just because I like a lot
God,
of
I hope not.
music? Like, I like that playlist. It's a lot of good music there. I mean, come on. My wife is convinced I'm psychotic because she's like, that playlist gave me a headache. She's like, that's not a playlist. That's just like random stuff. That's like putting 5,000 DVDs into one of those old school DVD changers and just hitting the random button. And I'm like, yeah, I would totally do that. I don't know. I just wanted some opinions on that because my wife now thinks I'm a serial killer or psychotic or something because of my music taste. Not my music taste, but just the way I put together a playlist. She's like, no, you put together a playlist. You put some 90s music all grouped together, then maybe some 80s music grouped together, then maybe some rock music grouped together, then maybe some R&B grouped together. You don't bounce and forth between Celine Dion and Star Wars and a metal version of Kiss from a Rose. I don't know. Wesley out in the chat says, I'm sorry, she was correct. You are schizophrenic. Maybe I am. I didn't think I was until she said something, and now I'm questioning myself. So I am confused, and I just realized I don't have any background music. We've got to get that going for us. Sorry about that, guys.
I mean, for me, I like everything literally from Beethoven and Bach to 38 Special to the Beatles to System of a Down and Slipknot to Metallica to...
And I think one of the things that threw her off was that it went from like a metal version of Kiss from a Rose to a Disney song. I'm sorry, it's a good Disney song. Have you ever watched Encanto?
No, I've not.
There's a really good song in there called Surface Pressure. It's a great song. I like that song. Forgive me. It's a damn good song. Anyway, Dominic out in the chat says, nothing wrong with a mixed playlist. I go from classic rock to 80s to gangster rap to Luciano Pavarotti and Adriano Pacelli. Yes, see, there's nothing wrong with that. That's normal. I don't know. Anyway, what's up, Quinn? See you out there, Quinn. Yeah, I think that's all perfectly normal, and I don't see anything wrong with it. But apparently my wife does. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with the class today because I wanted to. I felt like it. It's my chat, and I thought we'd go from there. I do want to talk about a few things. I don't have like a big, long list of things to talk about, but I got a few things here. We'll start with some smaller things. So a show back in the day, back in the late 90s into the early 2000s, or maybe it was throughout the 90s. I don't really remember. I think it was mostly through the 90s. A show that I used to love was, and I don't know if anybody else out there loved this show, Frasier. I loved Frasier. Here's the thing. Never that big a fan of Cheers, but I loved Frasier. I thought Frasier was great. Anybody else out there in the chat liked Frasier? I don't know. Was it just me? Am I the weird motherfucker who has a crazy playlist? Is that what it is?
I like Frasier.
Frasier was a great show. I loved it. Well, they're bringing it back in like 2 weeks. We're getting not the old, like a whole new Frasier show where he's older now and his son is grown up, and we're getting Frasier again. I'm very excited about this. I might be one of only 5 people excited about this, but I'm very excited that Frasier's coming back. I hope it's as good as it used to be. I also like what's his face a lot. Now, why am I blanking on his name now all of a sudden?
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer. I like Kelsey Grammer a lot. To be honest, I'm very surprised he got another go at anything really, because his political beliefs are very opposed to most of Hollywood, and those people usually get blackballed. So kind of surprised that he's getting a show, but he's getting a show. It's going to be on like Paramount Plus starting in like a couple weeks, I think. I'm very hyped for this, man. Like, I loved Frasier. Frasier was a great show. By the way, if you've never watched Frasier, go watch Frasier. It was awesome. So anyway, yeah, I just saw this trailer this week, and I was like, oh hell yes. So very excited about that. Where is Duke? Because there is a movie that I want to talk to Duke about today that I need him to watch. So we were talking about it on the chat last night. Tim, I don't know if you were on Trigger Time last night, but we were talking about this new show called No One Will Save You. Not show, it's a movie called No One Will Save You. I think it's from Hulu.
Oh, yeah, I heard you talking about that last night.
Yeah. So after I did my show last night, me and my wife watched the movie No One Will Save You. And it's not a great movie, but it was a good movie. It was very entertaining. There's almost no dialogue in the entire movie. I mean, I want to say maybe 10 to 20 words are spoken in the entire movie. And it also has a weird ending that wasn't great, but like, okay, that's fine. The enjoyment from the movie came from very well done scenes, especially like the opening like 10 minutes of the movie is great. And so anyway, it's an alien movie. Aliens come to Earth to invade Earth, and the movie is in this small town. And it's about this one girl who has, I'm not going to spoil anything, but this one lady, I don't know. I think she's supposed to be like in her early 20s. And she lives alone in a house just outside of town. And everybody in the town hates her because of something that happened in her past. She's like a pariah and nobody talks to her. And then, of course, aliens invade. And she's like on her own. And that's kind of the story. I really can't explain much more than that. But holy hell. And I get it. I'm not, I kind of enjoy alien stories because this is basically alien horror. I mean, that's what this was. This was an alien horror movie. And I enjoy those types of movies a lot because they genuinely freak me out. And so, when something freaks you out and you're, as a horror movie, like you actually kind of like it better because it can get to you, right? Like with my wife, it's ghost stories and possessions and things like that. That freaks her out a little bit more because she was raised Catholic. So that stuff kind of freaks her out more. The alien thing freaks me out. For me, because I think aliens could actually be real. Whereas the ghost stories and things like that don't. I mean, I like them. I love horror movies and ghost stories and stuff. Conjuring is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I love that movie. But they don't get to me the way like alien movies get to me, like The Fourth Kind or although what was that one we watched last year? Nope. That was a big disappointment. It only had like one good scene in the whole movie. But this is filled with those types of scenes that are creepy as hell. Like even the opening 10 minutes of the movie is like very quickly kind of goes through like a day in her life. And then, just so that you get the idea that nobody likes her, nobody talks to her. And then she goes back to her house. And next thing you know, it's nighttime and aliens show up, right? Like this is all in the first 10 minutes. And you get like a 10-minute scene of an alien being in her house and her trying to, get away from it. And it is creepy as hell. And again, the alien stuff creeps me out more than ghost stories do. So maybe it's just me, but it is creepy as hell. Even my wife was just sitting there, we were watching. She's like, oh no. Oh no. She's like making noise actively while we're watching this movie. And I liked it. I liked it because it had really good scenes. Not necessarily it was a good movie, because there wasn't a lot to it. I mean, the whole movie takes place over the course of like 2 days, I think, of aliens coming to Earth and, her basically being on her own, trying to get away from aliens. You know what I mean? And then it's got a weird ending. So, which I don't understand, to be honest with you. I don't get the ending of this movie. I don't know if I missed something, but I watched the whole movie, but I feel like I missed something at the end. You know what I mean? And I won't explain how, but anyway, the ending was a little confusing and a little weird, but still very good. And I desperately want Duke to watch this movie because I guarantee you he will shit himself. This is one of those. This is genuinely a movie filled with a whole bunch of freaky, gray, big, black-eyed aliens doing creepy ass shit the entire movie. Like, this is a movie made for someone like Duke who is terrified of this stuff. I desperately want him to watch this movie. I may have to do we may have to do a watch party one of these nights with Duke, just so that we can all like sit down and like do a live show of watching Duke watch this movie. Because
that sounds like a plan, because it sounds like my kind of movie.
Yeah, I believe it will creep him the hell out. Like, seriously, it is a creepy, creepy movie. So anyway, I recommend people go check it out. Like, look, again, not saying this is a great movie or anything, but as far as alien, creepy abduction, invasion stuff goes, very effective. Great scenes. Whoever directed the movie did really good. As far as, like, I don't think the story's great, and the ending just didn't make sense to me. But the way the movie was shot and the way it was directed was on point. It was a great, alien movie. It was really, really well done. Very tense, very creepy. Lots of good, like, horror scenes in the movie of crazy stuff going on where you're just like watching freaked out. You know what I mean? And so it was very well done. It was very well done. I see Gil in the chats asking what movie we're talking about here. It's a movie that just came out yesterday called No One Will Save You. I think it's on Hulu. Although I had originally heard it was going to be on Hulu and Disney Plus, I couldn't find it on Disney Plus. So I don't know. But yeah, No One Will Save You. Creepy alien movie. Not a great movie. Weird ending, but definitely a tense, good, creepy alien movie. So I enjoyed it. Even though it wasn't a great movie, I did enjoy the movie. So I got to give it that. Let's see here. Sorry. Look at it. I'm like looking at myself. I told you guys I don't have a lot to talk about tonight. So we're going to wing this one tonight on the Geek Chat. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. I wanted to talk about this. Now, Tim, we've been talking about Star Trek a lot since you've been coming on the shows for the last couple of years. Have you watched all the Star Trek shows?
Not all of them. I mean, I grew up on the original series. Duh. Yeah. Because I'm old.
Well, yeah.
I know I've seen most, if not all, Next Generation. And the same thing with Deep Space Nine. I've only seen a little bit of Voyager.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Oh, go ahead.
And let's see what else. Enterprise, I've not seen at all. And I know it exists, and I might have seen a little bit of an episode or two, but that was in a time in my life where I was doing some heavy drinking and stuff, so I wasn't doing much of anything other than drinking and being stupid.
As one does.
Yeah.
Well, I just recently started rewatching Voyager because I've never rewatched it. Like, I watched it when it was originally on. And I've maintained for a long time that, I mean, I think in general, I know this is blasphemy for a lot of people, I think it was for a long time my favorite Star Trek show. I just really liked Voyager. And I think the reason I like Voyager is because it really went back to that old school, like, to boldly go where no one has gone before. It's just one ship, one crew out exploring in the middle of nowhere with no backup, no nothing. Very similar to the original series. And
yes.
So I've started to rewatch it. I haven't watched it in a really long time. I've seen a couple episodes here and there over the years, but I never like rewatched the show since it was originally on, which was like 95 to 2002, I think. It was on for 7 years.
Like that, yeah.
So I've never gone back and just rewatched the whole series, and that's what I'm doing now. And I'm like 2/3 of the way through season 2 at this point. And I gotta say, man, it's still so damn good. Like, I now am remembering why I loved this show so much, to the point that I, as a hardcore like next gen fan, you know what I mean, like that, like I grew up on the original series because it was in reruns all the time, and my mother is a huge Trekkie, and so I grew up with that. But like Next Generation was my Star Trek, you know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff that came on. It, you know, Star Trek, it started when I was 10 years old, you know, and was like, Next Generation was my Star Trek. And I still remember like enjoying Voyager overall more than I did Next Generation. And going back and rewatching it now, and, you know, now almost 2 seasons deep, I remember why. It's a fantastic show. Like, it really is. And I'm not, you know, everybody's got their own personal opinion on what their favorite Star Trek show is. I get it, you know, whatever. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. Like, oh, Voyager's the best one. Like, if you like Voyager, great. If you like Next Gen, great. Like, if you like any of the Star Treks, they're all great, right?
Except for Discovery.
It is so worth watching if you've never watched it. If you like Star Trek, if you like sci-fi, and you've never watched Voyager, it is so worth watching. And there's a lot of it too. I mean, it's 7 seasons, except for the first season, which I think is only 16 episodes. Every season's like 23 to 26 episodes. So there's a lot to watch. Like, there's a lot of content there. And so damn good, man. And in fact, some of the things that I remembered not liking about the show, upon rewatching it now years later, don't bother me anymore. Like, I remember one of the things I didn't like about the show in the first 2 or 3 seasons was that this one species, the Kazon, seemed to just be there all the time. And they were not a very interesting kind of enemy species. You know what I mean? And now that I'm rewatching it, I'm realizing 2 things. One, the Kazon aren't there nearly as much as I remembered. You know what I mean? So one, they don't show up on the show as often as I kind of remembered them showing up on the show. And 2, they actually are more interesting than I originally remembered. And I think part of that might have come from the fact that, like, when that show started, Next Generation had just ended, right? And there are some definite similarities between the Kazon and, like, Klingons. And so I think, to me at the time, it just felt like I'm just getting more of, it's just like rehashed villains, you know what I mean? And so I guess I didn't appreciate them as much at the time, coming fresh off of Next Generation. Whereas watching it now years later, like, they are much more interesting than I originally thought. And they don't actually show up that often. You know, they show up, you know, maybe 3 times a season so far in the first couple seasons, which is not that much. You know, when you're talking, like, season 2 is 26 episodes. Showing up 3 times in 26 episodes, that's not that much. So I'm actually really excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, you know, I've been meaning to rewatch this show for a long time. Now, one thing, if Honda was here, he would definitely give me shit on, is that I am rewatching Voyager, a show that I have seen every episode of before I am ever rewatching Deep Space Nine, which I've not seen every episode of. Deep Space Nine to this day still remains the only Star Trek show that I have not seen every episode of. I don't know why. Like, I did see everything in, like, the first 2, maybe 3 seasons. And then I do remember, I think I watched all the final season. And then I would sporadically see episodes here and there in between those 2 things. But I've never watched the whole show. For whatever reason, it did not, at least at that period of time in my life, did not click with me the way Next Generation did or Voyager did. So I didn't really, you know, it didn't, I don't know. I didn't make it a point to make sure I watched the show like I had done with everything else Star Trek. So to this day, I mean, I've seen every original, you know, TOS. I've seen the old school animated series. Remember the animated series from the 70s? Seen all of those.
Oh, God.
Seen all of Next Generation multiple times. Seen Voyager, every episode of Voyager. Seen every episode of Enterprise. I've seen every episode of Star Trek Discovery, as bad as that show is. Every episode of Strange New Worlds. Every episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. Like, I've seen every episode of every Star Trek thing ever except for DS9. And I don't know why. I just can't get myself to start watching that show. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I don't know. There's just something in my head that's like, no, don't do. I don't know what it is. If it's my subconscious, I don't know. But it, for whatever reason, I was like, I feel like watching a Star Trek show. I'm gonna rewatch Voyager. And I'm like, okay, and I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. And yeah, Tim, if you've never seen Voyager, at least not seen the whole series, it's definitely worth watching. Like, it really is. It's really good. One of the cool things about Voyager is they had the absolute weirdest stories of any Star Trek. Now, it's not that there weren't weird stories in all versions of Star Trek, but like more consistently episode to episode to episode to episode, because they're in another part of a galaxy where they're running into all new things that, the Federation and humans have never run in before. Like, they seem to have a much higher likelihood of having really, really strange things happen to them. Like there's a whole episode in early season 2 with just like, Neelix brings on some cheese, and the cheese infects the computer system, and like just everything goes crazy. Or Tom Paris breaks the warp 10 barrier and starts evolving, and then has babies with an evolved Janeway when they both evolve into other creatures. Like, it's just some weird shit, and it's real consistent. Like, they go through some weird shit. Yeah, I don't know, but I love it. I dig it. I dig this idea of, this Federation starship being completely taken out of all their support structure within the Alpha Quadrant, within the Federation, and just being out there on their own. I loved it the first time I watched it. I'm loving it now. It feels much more like, fly by the seat of your pants, old school TOS, where they're the only starship out there exploring strange new worlds and seeking out new life and new civilizations and boldly going where no man has gone before. Like, it's that type of story every single episode, because they are out there by themselves. And it's got a lot of good characters, although by far the Doctor is the best character on the show. I've talked about that before. He's always been my favorite character. The Doctor's a great character. There's lots of good characters on the show, but he's the best one. It's just really good, man. I highly recommend it. If you have never watched Star Trek Voyager, you consider yourself a geek, you should absolutely watch Star Trek Voyager. It is so worth your time, and I dig it. I completely dig it. So I see Quinn out there.
I actually started watching Voyager a while back. It was on Netflix. Then they took it off Netflix, and
yeah, I'm just watching it on the website. So
yeah, I kind of figured that.
Yeah, I watch almost everything on the website. So mostly because, like, a lot of times, unless it's on Netflix or Amazon, and then nowadays even half the time on Amazon, especially with shows, when you want to watch something, there's commercials and everything now. And I get it, like, whatever, they got to pay the bills, even on Paramount Plus and all that kind of stuff. Like, you got to watch commercials. I can go to the website and not watch commercials. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I just watch on that. But I see Quinn out there says, I've seen classic Enterprise, DS9, Next Gen, Voyager, Strange New Worlds, Picard, Lower Decks, Star Trek Animated, and Discovery. See, I've seen all those too, except for about half of DS9. There's at least half the episodes of DS9 I have never seen. And that's it. That's really the only one that I haven't seen all the way through. Not really. That is literally the only one I haven't seen all the way through. What's up, Jared?
Hello. Sorry, old man Nat went long.
That's all right. No, we were just talking about I'm rewatching Star Trek Voyager. which I haven't watched in a very, very long time. I haven't watched since it was originally on. I mean, I have seen episodes occasionally, but I haven't like just decided to rewatch the series since it was originally on from 95 to 2002. And I've said for a while, I don't know about you, Jared, what your opinion is on this, but I've said this for years. Voyager was always my favorite of all the Star Treks. Like, even though I grew up on Next Gen, loved Next Gen, Voyager was always my favorite. And as I'm rewatching it now, I'm almost done with the second season. I'm remembering why it's my favorite. What's your favorite Star Trek?
Let's see. Let's say when Worf came about, I think season 3 on of Deep Space Nine is probably like one of my favorites. I like Voyager. Also, too, later seasons when the introduction of Jerry Ryan's 709 character.
Oh yeah, it definitely got better. Yeah, which was season 4, right?
After they got rid of the Kazon stuff.
Yeah, and that
the
was
Kazons were horrible villains.
That was exactly what I was saying, and so I'm rewatching it. And my biggest complaint about Voyager altogether has always been the Kazons suck and they show up far too often. And as I'm rewatching the show for the first time since 1995, I've rewatched the first season. I'm almost done with the second season. I'm realizing, first of all, the Kazon don't show up anywhere near as much as I remembered them showing up. They show up about 3 times in the first season, and so far about 3 times in the second season.
The whole Keska like double cross thing.
Seska, yeah. And the other thing I'm realizing is they're very, very Klingon-esque. And I think what the problem was is that when Next Generation ended, that show started. And while absolutely this is still to this day 100% true, the Kazon were just like reworked villains. It's like, well, we need kind of a Klingon-esque but slightly different, big bad for this quadrant of space.
Much as
and they totally were. They totally were.
Yeah.
But having not watched it in a really long time, they don't annoy me as much this second time around as they did the first time.
Too, about the Kazons too. I like them, their origin.
Where they were like slaves of the trade.
They work better as an origin for like the Klingons anyway, because it's basically is the origins of the Klingons anyway, because the Klingons acquired their space technology from that race that invaded them so long ago that the stories of Kalis is about.
Yeah.
But because the Klingons really shouldn't be spacefaring people with the way they act. Same with the Kazons. Kazons would not be spacefaring people without them acquiring their technology from their slavers.
Yeah. Yeah, the Kazon are much less annoying, I'm finding this time. They're still not great. Don't get me wrong. They just annoy me much less than they did.
Plus, too, the fact that the whole point is like, hey, we can't let this primitive race have access to our replicator technologies, which they treat like replicator technology like magic. Me knowing how I've read like a lot of stuff like how the replicators work. Without they don't make stuff out of nothing. The ships actually carry bulk, like raw materials. The replicators work like transporters. They take raw materials, recombine it into the stuff, and outputs it. It's not making stuff from nothing. That's why they were treating it like on Voyager. It's going to be this magical device that gives you stuff from nothing. It don't work that way.
Yeah. Well, as I'm watching it, they're after the replicators too, but the main thing they want by season 2 is the transporter technology. That's what they want. That's what they keep trying to steal.
And
they tried making their own replicators in one episode and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And then they did actually steal a transporter at one point, but then Voyager finds a way to deactivate it and damage it to where they can't use it anymore. Because as soon as they get a transporter, they start using it to like just transport their enemies into space to kill them instantly.
Yeah,
the Kazon just start using it as a weapon, Which,
Well,
by the way, would
if
be a
that
great
existed,
weapon.
that would actually work.
That'd be a great weapon.
But that's actually one of the things, too, if people don't realize, too, the Starship communicators are actually like transporter scramblers, too, to keep enemies from beaming you out into space.
Yeah. But I got to say, I'm really enjoying Voyager again this second time around. I'm digging all the episodes.
The stupid
Like
thing,
anything Star Trek, there's always a couple.
Yeah, later seasons they completely forget about that prime directive. Let's not give her technology away, and they offer their replicators to alien races.
Well, because they've started doing it in season 2 because there was a whole episode that revolved around Chakotay and a lot of the characters like going to Janeway and being like, "Look, we are going to die out here if we keep adhering to the prime directive. The prime directive was not intended for people in our situations."
Yep.
And there's a whole thing about it because in the first season and most of the second season, like every time there's a chance, to like save their ass or something, Janeway always sticks to the prime directive and it always ends up getting them fucked. And then there's an episode where Chakotay is just like, we can't do this anymore. Like we can try to, maintain as minimal influence and damage as possible, but we are not going to survive if we strictly adhere to Starfleet rules and regulations. We're just not going to. And so at that point, she slowly starts to kind of back away. Not completely, but she starts to do that. And they start doing that in season 2, where she's just like, she's starting to realize, she's like, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. And we will maintain our, our integrity and the spirit of being Starfleet, but yeah, we're going to have to do some things that we normally wouldn't do if we were in the Alpha Quadrant. And so she starts to like, that's when she starts to try to like do she wants to have an alliance with like some of the Kazon factions. And then she ends up starting an alliance with the Trabe instead, because the Kazon just can't. All they can do is fight with her and all the other factions, and so they end up doing an alliance with the Trabe, although it is very short-lived. Instead, to like all this stuff, so she starts slowly backing off from the prime directive in season 2.
Yeah,
because she's like, the prime directive is great when you're in Starfleet in the Alpha Quadrant and you've got the entire infrastructure of the Federation backing you up. But where they're at, they're like, no, we can't do this. We're gonna fucking die. We're just going to die if we adhere to those rules and regulations. So, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm genuinely really enjoying the show again, which is cool. I'm actually kind of glad I haven't watched it since it was originally on, so that I could enjoy it again for the first time again now. So anyway. It's a good show. I recommend people watch it. Tim, you should watch it. It's great. Anyway.
I'll be right back. I got a phone call coming in.
Okay. The other thing I'm trying to catch up on is, oh, God help me, Doctor Who. Doctor Who. Good Lord. So I have been my entire life a huge Doctor Who fan. Grew up with the 4th Doctor, Tom Baker. Watched Doctor Who all my life. When it came back in 2005 with Christopher Eccleston and then David Tennant and then Matt Smith and even Peter Capaldi, loved it. And it goes up and down. Some Doctors are better than others. Some stories are better than others, things like that. But huge Doctor Who fan. And then that new writer came on and we got that new doctor. What's her name? The chick doctor. And it just got so bad. So bad. The stories were just horrible. That interpretation of the doctor just came across as a whiny mess. Like it just, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I watched the first season she was on, and I think I started to watch the second season. And I think she did 4 seasons total. And I couldn't get through the second season. And so, we're getting David Tennant back again as kind of like a temporary filler. The guy that brought Doctor Who back back in 2005, and brought back Doctor Who. His name is blanking on his name, but anyway, the guy that was the showrunner for the first like 6 to 8 years when they brought Doctor Who back in 2005. He's coming back. He brings David Tennant back as the next Doctor, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get back into the Doctor. Russell T. Davies is the dude's name. Showrunner Russell T. Davies. They brought him back because they know they fucked up. They know these last 4 seasons of Doctor Who, which has been spread out over the last 6 years, have sucked. People don't like it. They don't like the stories. They don't like the Doctor. They don't like the companions. They don't like anything about Doctor Who anymore. So they're going back and bringing back Russell T. Davies, and they're going back and bringing back David Tennant as the Doctor to give people what they actually want. So I'm like, okay, I may want to start watching it again. But I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to get to this point, I at least need to watch enough of what I've missed to try and figure out what's going on. So I went to one of these internet sites that are like, okay, the Jodie Whittaker, that's the lady's name that plays the Doctor now. The Jodie Whittaker 4 seasons. What are like the must-watch episodes to kind of catch you up, right? So I've been watching those outside of the first season because I already watched that. So I've been watching those, and then they go by pretty quick. I'm already on her last season, the 4th season she's in, so that I can catch up. To try and figure out what's going on. And they're all bad. Like, I get why the website was like, okay, these are must-watch episodes, because they're all episodes pivotal to the Doctor's character and the things we find out about him and things that change him, her, doesn't matter, whatever, right? Like, I get why I'm watching these episodes, but in no way does that mean they're good episodes. They're not good episodes. This version of the Doctor sucks. This showrunner sucks. The writers suck. And let me explain. When I say that, if you're a Doctor Who fan, right, we've watched some real shit. I mean, let's be honest. Doctor Who was a D-list sci-fi show from Britain that had piss-poor special effects, usually had really good stories and really good actors in it, but piss-poor special effects, sometimes some of the goofiest ass, craziest sci-fi stories you've ever seen. It doesn't even try to make sense half the time. It doesn't even try to use real science. Like, it's a goofy show anyway. So when I say that there's a specific period in time out of this show that is truly awful, that's saying something. Because I love all the goofy, ridiculous shit Doctor Who has given me, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 2010s. And this new Doctor, she and her stories are just unwatchable. It's unwatchable crap. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But I'm trying to get through it so I can get caught up to the point to where she turns back into David Tennant and I can get a good Doctor with some good stories again. And I'm really hoping we do. I'm like, and I may just be wishing on a star here, and it may turn into complete shit. I don't know. But I know they're bringing back the good showrunner. They're bringing back the good actor for the Doctor, at least temporarily.
Sorry about that.
And so I'm hopeful. I probably shouldn't be, but I'm gonna be hopeful. So I'm forcing myself to watch some of these shitty, horrible episodes over the course of the last 4 seasons.
So
that I can catch up and hopefully get some good shit. And I hope I get some good shit. If I don't, I'm going to be very fucking disappointed. But I hope that I do. Here's to hoping, people. Here's to hoping. For those like 2 of you out there that are also Doctor Who fans.
I used to be a Doctor Who fan, but
well, that's what we're talking about. Because they're bringing back Russell T. Davies as the showrunner. They're bringing back David Tennant.
The only thing it's going to help bring back the actual like real Whovians, or if they just say this whole shit never happened with Jodie Whittaker and the whole endless child shit.
Well, and I don't know what they'll do. My guess is because I've been catching up on this shitty, horrible, goddamn shit.
Because the endless child made the Doctor Who not a Time Lord.
Okay, he's not a Time Lord. And I've been catching up on it, and I'm almost done with her shit. Okay, because I want to catch up to where David Tennant shows up again and Russell T Davies takes back over. And one thing I have noticed is that the only way, at least to where I'm at, and I'm only 3 episodes away from her being gone, the only thing that we know for sure is that she had a bunch of lives that she forgot about. That's all we know for sure. Because it was the master that told her that she's the endless child, the timeless child. And that motherfucker lies about everything. So all we know for sure is because she started to remember things is that the doctor had some previous lives that he didn't remember anymore. That's the only thing we know from his point of view that he knows to be true. Because it was the master that told him he's the timeless child. So I am guessing Russell T Davies is going to reveal that as being bullshit and that the master lied to him because it's the easiest way to clear that up.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to fix that. The fucking master lied to you. You're not the timeless child. So, which I would hope he would do because the whole idea of the timeless child came from Russell T Davies. That was a concept that was introduced when he was the writer and showrunner of the show while David Tennant was still the doctor. That was his idea of the timeless child. And it was a different thing. It was not the doctor. The doctor to the point that the doctor knew who the timeless child was. He had heard about the timeless child. He's mentioned it in episodes before. And the idea that somehow now all of a sudden he's never heard of the timeless child, and in fact he was the timeless child, doesn't make any sense with what Russell T Davies had already established in Doctor Who. So I'm guessing Russell T Davies is going to conveniently just say, no, the master lied to you, because that's the quickest way to get rid of that. No, the master lied to you. You're not the timeless child. You did have some lives you forgot about, but you're not the timeless child. And that's a quick, easy fix to get rid of that.
If they do it.
So, yeah, if they do it. I don't know if you will, but...
Because you're going to get the weirdo that's going to push back. It's like, oh, you can't do that.
Well, here's the thing. The BBC did not bring back Russell T Davies because the new showrunner and new doctor were doing a great job. It's because it sucked. And even people who are woke left-wing activists don't watch Doctor Who anymore because for the last 6 years, the show has fucking sucked. It has not been good. So the only reason you bring back Russell T Davies to be showrunner again and head writer again and bring back David Tennant as the doctor is because you know your show has gone to shit and you need to fix it.
The biggest problem is Doctor Who went the same with so many sci-fi series. They bring in writers that don't know how to fucking write sci-fi, who has never written sci-fi. The writers for the Jodie Whittaker era were soap opera writers. And they had no idea how to write science fiction. That's why you had episodes of them just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah. It's truly awful, awful television. It's awful. Even for a show like Doctor Who, which half the time doesn't make any fucking sense anyway, but still manages to be really good. As a lifetime watcher of Doctor Who, I can't tell you how many times I watched an episode of Doctor Who and was like, well, I'm confused, but it was great.
Their technobabble was just freaking.
It was
babble.
literal babble. It was like made up words and shit. Like they do the opposite Star Trek does, and they just try to make it make as little sense as possible. They don't try to fucking attach it to anything in reality. Like, we just did that. Why? Well, because we could. Okay, cool. It's still a good episode. Thanks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In the last 6 years, the show has just been god awful. It's been absolutely horrible. So I have hope. Maybe it's misplaced. Maybe I will be greatly disappointed. But I have hope that with David Tennant and Russell T Davies coming back, and Catherine Tate, by the way, because they're bringing back Donna, that it will have the potential to be a good show again. I hope.
So
we will wait and see.
With the Doctor not being a Time Lord, Donna getting Time Lord DNA makes no damn sense.
No, it doesn't. That's what I'm saying. What they've done in the last 6 years basically undid so much stuff Russell T Davies set into Doctor Who canon that he's got to be pissed. He's got to be pissed.
Oh, and here's this crazy thing. If they want to do a female Doctor Who series, do his daughter. He has a daughter. That one episode where they took the sample of the DNA on his arm and made a clone.
Yeah.
And it's a female clone. They could have done that. But that takes them actually knowing about Doctor Who.
Yeah. I mean, although it was weird that he did marry his own daughter. That was kind of creepy. But besides that, yeah.
I don't remember that part.
Well, that's a joke. David Tennant in real life married the actress who played his daughter. They're married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
who,
weird.
by the way, I don't know if you know,
That's gotta be weird.
She's the actual real life daughter of the fifth Doctor, Peter. What's his face?
So he married his own.
She in real life is the Doctor's daughter, and then played the Doctor's daughter, but the David Tennant version of the Doctor's daughter. And then in real life, they started dating and got married, and have been married for over 10 years. So her dad and her husband are both the Doctor.
That's gotta be That's gotta fuck with their minds a little bit.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, that's legit. That's David Tennant's wife. And anyway,
So how did you meet? Well, my dad played this character, the Doctor, and then I met my husband, who was playing the same character, the Doctor.
Yeah.
So I played his daughter of my husband, and the Doctor Who.
then I played the daughter and married my dad, and it's weird shit.
So if they're actually getting intimate and she starts saying "daddy," that could have double meaning.
It really could. Oh, daddy. Hey, that'd be like, if I was David Tennant, I'd be like, don't call me that, please. That's just fucking don't do that. No, let's not do that. Anything but that. Call me doctor. Call me doctor. Just
Oh,
Well,
call
they're
me-
British, and they got the British royal bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
They like to keep everything in the house.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I am powering through some of the episodes that the internet told me are the must-watch episodes for those shitty seasons, and I've only got 3 episodes left to watch, and then I will be caught up, and then hopefully we will get some good Doctor Who again. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, sorry about the phone call. A buddy of mine was at Ollie's, and he's asking if I needed anything. And he was going through what they had. It's like toys.
Did they have anything good?
No, they had some Fortnite stuff. I was tempted getting like the man cakes because it's just crazy looking character. They got the cowboy
cool, yeah.
pancakes for heads,
Yeah.
and I got them to get on my retro Falcon, retro carded Falcon.
I don't have one of those. I haven't seen those at my Ollie's. Otherwise, I would have picked one up already. But
The retro carded ones at Ollie's are $7.99.
see, they don't have them at mine. We had the only Marvel Legends we've got at mine are we still got that stupid Doctor Strange in the Mouth of Madness or Multiverse of Madness. We get there. All those figures are there, and I think there's still some Falcon and Winter Soldier figures there. And that's it. Those are the only Marvel Legends at any of mine Ollie's. So, which is, oh no, and they did have. No, I did get the. They had just the Human Torch from the Retro Wave, which I did get that.
They had the Invisible Woman from that wave, the retro card, and
Yeah, I never saw her. I mean, I wouldn't have picked her up anyways. I already have her. I don't need extras.
Yeah.
But
she's got a horrible head sculpt too.
yeah, she does. She's
I swapped
really
her head out on mine.
Yeah. Oh, I did too. I swapped her head out for which one was it? Was it Kitty? I think it was Kitty Pryde. The Kitty Pryde from the Age of Apocalypse wave, where she's got the short blonde, kind of blonde hair. It's got a little bit of red in it, but it looks mostly blonde. I did a head swap on that, and it looks great. So
I had a Walgreens Sue Storm head in my fodder bin, and I actually swapped the hair pieces over, and they fit. The hairpiece fit that old head, and it looks a million times better.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a Renee Zellweger no more.
Yeah. All right, Tim.
So I have a geeky question to ask you, Matt.
Okay.
Did you watch No One Will Save You?
Yes, I did. We just talked about that at the beginning of the chat, and you weren't here.
I was over on Discord talking Night Strike and the guys.
Oh, you mean the other people that didn't show up to the chat even though they got links? Those fucking assholes.
I was just asleep, so I was like, I woke up, it's like, oh crap, it's after 8.
What did you? I know you already went over it, but what did you think of it?
I liked it. It is not a great movie, and it has a very weird ending. But I
did not like the ending.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a very weird ending. No, don't give a shit about the ending. But the movie was very effective as an alien movie. It had some awesome fucking creepy ass alien scenes.
No shit, dude.
Like the whole movie was just one big, long, creepy alien ass scene in it. The aliens looked great. I liked how they were all I mean, they were all those big, gray, black-eyed aliens, but they were all different.
What movie?
You know, No One Will Save You.
That one that looked like a fucking spider, dude, gave me the heebie-jeebies, man.
As shit. Dude, just the opening 10 minutes when she's at her house that first night.
Yes.
Was just fucking and the way it was, like, I'm telling you, like, I don't know, like I said, the ending was just weird and didn't even make any fucking sense, and the ending, whatever, and there's no dialogue in the movie at all, but whoever the director and the filmographer for that movie that took that story that wasn't great, but like put those scenes together, he did a fantastic job.
I have to agree. Yeah,
are some of the best like alien invasion, alien abduction scenes I have ever seen.
I was honestly kind of laughing at the little midget alien. Yeah, because that little fucker was funny. But I tell you, when they introduced that giant spider-looking fucking alien, I was like, "Oh hell no, fuck that shit." Oh yeah. But what happened to it was just fucking awesome.
Oh yeah. Dude, but even that opening scene, like when she's by the fridge and the fridge door opens, and then she's just sitting there looking up, and then you just see the hands and the fingers come over the top, and the head slowly they made those scenes so like tense and creepy as shit. It was really good. It was done really, really well.
Yeah, and I think he said maybe 5 words the whole
movie. If that.
I mean, there was like no dialogue at all. There's maybe 5 to 6 words spoken. Yeah. I think the mailman might have said a word or two when he was, playing basketball with the package in the beginning.
Yeah. But it was done so well. Like I said, again, the story is not great. The movie is not great. But I got to give kudos to the director who pieced that fucking thing together from a not great story and made an incredibly effective, creepy ass fucking alien invasion movie.
If you take out like the beginning part of the movie and take out the ending part of the movie and just had the battle with the aliens, I'd watch it again just because that right there was fucking done so well, in my opinion. It was crazy, especially when that motherfucker was walking and he hopped up on his little fingertips and was just crawling to the window. That was
that's cool. Creepy shit. Or when the little one, she went into the bathroom and it just sat there at the end of the hallway with its arms up like this, staring at her.
I was like,
"What?" It was creepy as fuck. Creepy as fuck.
I thought I was fixing to launch at her.
Dude, like there was some really, really creepy shit in that movie. I would love Duke to watch this movie.
I would love it too. I think he would probably shit his pants.
Yeah. But the ending, I don't know. I don't know if I missed something. The ending I didn't get at all. Like, I mean, I got it, but like I don't understand why at the end of that movie they just like look in her mind and they're like, fuck it, let her go. You know what I mean? Like there was no explanation for like.
Yeah, I didn't really get that part either. What? I guess maybe they thought she was badass enough. We'll just leave her alone.
Yeah, I don't know. They just like just fucking leave her alone.
I just thought it was a cool crossover movie. Yeah, the aliens try to take out Sisu.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It was that ending didn't make any sense to me. And it was not a good ending. but the rest of the movie was so effective as a good creepy alien movie that I still like.
Was. If they could take that middle part with all the alien fighting and shit, and did a little bit different story with it with some dialogue, I think that would be like a top tier alien movie.
I think if they just changed the ending, I didn't have a problem with the rest of the movie, even the beginning, which started off all kind of weird and slow.
Yeah,
but honestly, that was only for like 5 minutes before it's nighttime and she's in the house with the alien the first night. Like, it starts really quick. So the ending was the only thing I was like, what the fuck what was that? Okay. Like, and that was the only thing.
The look on her face with that first one that came through her door and she spun around and spiked them. It's like, oh shit, yeah. I didn't mean to do that, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Although what was funny about it, as I'm sitting there watching the movie, my wife goes, your friends can't watch this movie, can they? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, because all your friends are going to do the whole movie is yell, why don't you have a gun? And I was like,
I was doing the same thing. I'm like, if you had a gun, dumbass.
Like, yep. Because if she would have had a gun, there's a lot of those troubles she would not have had to deal with for very long.
Yeah.
Pots and that's the premise of a lot of Hollywood movies. You know, the protagonist had a gun. I've been in it a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you watch the movie, like, she wouldn't have been out of trouble. The aliens don't fucking just go away, right?
No.
But, like, all those situations she kept finding herself in with different aliens, like, would have been over really quickly. Each encounter wouldn't have lasted very long if she had a gun. Like,
if she would have had a gun in the basement scene when she was hiding under the table with the scissors and turned around and, you know, there's that one right there, she could easily just shot it in the head.
She never would have gotten throat fucked by a space loogie.
Yeah, that was fucking nasty, dude.
That was disgusting.
I was thinking, why didn't she go hide in the fucking deep freeze?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But whatever. It was shot well. The alien stuff was really good and creepy. I liked it. I liked everything in the movie except for the ending. So
yeah, I agree. I
just want to watch Duke watch this movie.
Exactly. I was gonna say we need to meet up with him and strap him to a chair and force his eyeballs to stay open and put that on.
We can watch this movie. Yeah.
And not let anybody tell him like what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Oh, no. Just force him to watch it.
Last week when somebody let him know.
He would lose his shit immediately with that one crawling on its fucking fingertips or toe tips or whatever it is. Just that one scene alone would.
Yep. All right, it is time to talk about Ahsoka. Time to talk about with this week's episode of Ahsoka.
I was a little surprised this evening.
Why?
I tried to go to the website and it was down.
Oh, the website was down?
It was like
I haven't been able to access the website in days now.
It's been taken down.
Yeah, they do this periodically, once or twice a year.
Oh, okay.
It usually, like with me, when I log into it, it says redirecting you to this page, and it gives you the new link.
I didn't get that.
I got that with me.
Yeah, the new. Here, I'll click on it here real quick, and I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Because I tried the WTF and then the old one, and nothing works.
It's F-movie. It's F-movies with a Z at the end. .to.
Okay,
that's the new link. And yeah, when I click on it, it gives me a pop-up and is like, oh, we've had to shut down fmovies.wtf. We will redirect you to fmovies.to in 20 seconds, or you can click here, and then it just takes you there. They do this periodically because periodically they get shut down.
Yeah.
And then you have to go to the new link. They do it at least once a year, sometimes a couple times a year. It just depends on how often, how often they get shut down.
You said movies with Z and dash, what was the end of it?
.to. fmovies.to.
It don't come up for me with that either.
It does for me. Wait, let me see. What are you showing me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally the website I'm on right now.
It don't work for me. Nope.
Okay, well, go to type in F movies the normal way with an S at the end. fmovies.wtf. And it should take you to a page that says, we have changed our domain to fmovies.to. You can click here to continue.
What movies dot what now?
fmovies.wtf.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness it's Friday. Okay.
And it should pop up a screen that lets
So
you.
it worked that time.
Yeah.
I just Googled it just now on my phone with the z.to and it popped it up.
Weird.
Go Shot dropped in a super chat says, how pissed would Duke's wife be if Duke saw the movie Teeth? I don't know if she'd be pissed. He'd be upset. He'd be traumatized.
Wasn't it Honda that spoiled that teeth thing?
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, Duke, you should totally watch the movie Teeth. I won't tell you what it's about. Just watch the first, really all he has to do is watch like the first 5 minutes. It like kicks in immediately at the beginning of that movie. So, but anyway, let's talk about Ahsoka here. Let's talk about Ahsoka. New episode of Ahsoka. I'm just gonna. Tim, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. New episode of Ahsoka just came out this week. Just further, enforcing my belief that this is a great show. I loved the new episode. It was awesome. Spoiler alerts here for anybody that hasn't watched Ahsoka. We are going to talk about the show. You've had like 4 days to watch it. You know what we're going to talk about. So,
yeah.
New episode, they finally get to the other galaxy right at the beginning of the episode. Ahsoka's basically not in the show at all, except for like the first 2 minutes. The whole show takes place on this other planet that I'm blanking on the name of it, when the bad guys arrive and they're there to find Thrawn. They get there and they find the ancient planet where the ancient temple of the Dathomir witches is. There's actually still the witches of Dathomir. They're still there. One of them played by what's her name?
Black.
Claudia Black. Thank you. She plays one of them. And then almost immediately Thrawn shows up, and he's awesome. He's great. It's, of course, he's played by the guy who did the voice in Star Wars Rebels, which I can't remember his name. I can't remember his first name, but he's Mad Mikkelsen's brother. If anybody knows who Mad Mikkelsen is, that actor is who plays Thrawn. He did the voice in Rebels. Now he's doing the live action version. Thrawn's got an awesome group of what did he call them? What did he call them? Night troopers? I think he called them night troopers, if I remember right. Which are like these, they're stormtroopers, but their armor's all fucked up, and they've like, you can tell, because I mean at this point they've been there for 10 to 12 years, I think, is how long they've been there with no support. The what's the name of Thrawn's ship? I'm blanking on it.
I can't remember.
I can't remember the name of his
I
ship.
know, but it looks pretty beat up too.
It's like some mythological name. His ship is named after like some Star Wars mythological beast. But his ship is kind of rough looking, the Star Destroyer, but it's still there. All the troopers are like hodgepodge together. Their armor has been like repaired over and over and over again. There's Captain Enoch, which is Thrawn's right-hand man now, which is interesting because Thrawn always surrounded himself with like high-ranking naval officers. He never surrounded himself with stormtroopers. You never saw Thrawn really associating with stormtroopers, and now his right-hand man is a stormtrooper captain named Enoch, who he's got the unique story. Like the middle of his mask is gone, and there's like a golden face in there, like almost like an old, those Roman death masks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's got this golden face in there. That's like Thrawn's right-hand man. So, and we don't, by the way, we don't see any naval officers at all this entire episode. So I don't know if they all died or if like at some point there was a war between the stormtroopers and the naval officers and the stormtroopers won. I didn't see a single naval officer left. They were all stormtroopers on his ship.
Of course, the naval officers were a bunch of pussies.
Well, yeah. Well, they weren't.
True.
They were like they were the equivalent of the Navy, whereas stormtroopers were like the Marines. And but Thrawn shows up. He's awesome, great. The actor does a great job as Thrawn. The night witches, the night troopers are great. The witches of Dathomir are great. They send off Balin's skull and Shin Hati, I think is what her name is, Shin Hati, off to go
Something
find.
like it, yeah.
Yeah, well, because first of all, Sabine's there, and Thrawn lets her go. And he's like, "Oh, you came here to find Ezra? Here you go. Go find him. He's on the planet somewhere. We don't know where." And then, of course, she takes off, and then he has Balin and Shin go follow Sabine, hoping that they will eventually find Ezra because he hasn't been able to find Ezra. Thank you, Brian Knight. The Chimera. That's the name of his ship. The Chimera is the name of his ship.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Chimera is there, but it's in really, really rough shape. And yeah, so we get a whole episode of Thrawn and the witches of Dathomir, and the night troopers are awesome. And then Sabine goes off and is trying to find Ezra. And before you know it, she actually finds Ezra. Ezra shows up in the episode. He looks, he's obviously older. They got an actor who's probably in his late 20s or close to 30 or something like that to play Ezra, which is appropriate because the last time we saw Ezra, he was supposed to be around 18 years old. And it's been like 10 to 12 years since Ezra disappeared. So it makes sense you would get somebody around 30 to play the part. Dude looked great as Ezra. Of course, he's got a beard and everything, which I guess makes sense for the character. Been, over a decade on a random planet. He grows a beard now. We actually see Ezra. Dude sounds like Ezra. I think they did a good job with the actor they picked. We don't get a whole lot of him. He kind of shows up towards, in the last act of the episode. I
will have to agree with some people. The guy playing Thrawn, like a lot of people were talking about, probably should have went on a little bit of an exercise routine a little bit. Because he's got a bit of belly.
Oh, he does have a bit of a belly. Yeah.
Who plays him?
His species are supposed to like not have to work out. They're like constantly in shape. They have a high metabolism and they're very cold. They're like Andorians.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe the atmosphere is not good for him. I don't know.
Who played Thrawn?
Mad Mikkelsen's brother. Same guy who did the voice of Thrawn in Rebels.
Okay. Yeah.
So they just got that same actor to play Thrawn. The episode. Yeah. The episode.
He gets a great voice, but a little bit pudgy fella.
Yeah. The episode ends. I mean, we don't. The episode ends with we know Shin and Balin are looking for Ezra. We know they're going to find Ezra and Sabine soon. And Thrawn's already made it clear that he doesn't really care if they find Ezra because he's willing to leave them on the planet when they take off. He doesn't really care. The most interesting thing that happened in the episode, to be honest, though, is just the whole. It was like a couple different conversations, but basically everything that Balin said, especially when he was talking to Shin in this episode, I think painted a much better picture. I think puts forth that you could have the argument that Balin's not necessarily a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think he's necessarily a bad dude. I think he, the way he was talking about the Jedi Order and Order 66 and the fall of the Jedi and the rise of the Empire and all that kind of stuff, and how he's talking about, I'm not looking for, to start up a new empire. I'm not looking for power. I'm not looking for money. I'm looking for a new beginning. And, and I've noticed he never calls himself Sith. He's not a Sith. I mean, he's a former Jedi, and they're mercenaries. But he doesn't, like, even when he's talking to Shin, and they're talking about Ezra and they're talking about Sabine and all that stuff, like, she's asking him about being a Jedi. Do you miss it? That kind of thing. And then he's talking to her about Ezra, and he's like, Ezra, I forget what he called Ezra. He called him a specific thing. But he essentially is like, he's like a nomad Jedi. He was trained by people who weren't really Jedis, because Kanan wasn't a Jedi anymore. He had never made it past Padawan, and so like he's talking to her, and even when they're talking about, when we find him, whatever, blah blah blah, and he's telling Shin, he's like, he was trained to be a Jedi by people who weren't really Jedis. He's like, I trained you to be something more. He doesn't say I trained you to be something different. He doesn't say I trained you to be a Sith. He just says I trained you to be something more than a Jedi. So I don't think Baylan and Shin are bad guys. I don't think they're bad. I don't know if they're what we would consider a gray Jedi, or I don't know what they are. I don't get the feeling Baylan Skoll's a bad dude. He's doing what he has to do because he thinks this is the way forward for the galaxy. He thinks he's doing something right. And I don't know if for him that's finding Ezra. Maybe he thinks Ezra's the beginning of something. I don't know what it is. I mean, we don't know what his motives are yet, but I get the feeling he's not a bad dude. He's definitely not a Sith. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens, I guess, as we're moving through. We only got 2 episodes left. Brian Knight in the chat says, what the hell's up with the Sith guy who turned to gas? Well, that was, I don't really know what that's about. That's been in Star Wars before, where there were, there were rumors that it might have something to do with the Witches of Dathomir. That could be possibly why Maruk was, he's like a Force ghost essentially, and with like Sith magic or whatever. That's how he can inhabit a suit of armor and that kind of thing. And we've seen Sith do this same thing before, because Ahsoka had killed somebody once before, that the same thing happened to him. He just turned into like smoke,
I forget
one. So I don't know exactly. I don't know if it's been described exactly what that is. If that's some sort of Sith magic that does that, or what it is. I'm thinking it's the.
Now you said that. I think there's been like comic book stories where they went in like a temple and they fought the Force ghost.
Yeah, and I think it has something to do with like the Night Sisters, but I don't know in what capacity. Because again, Ahsoka, we've seen. I mean, there was one in one of the animated shows, and I don't remember which one it was. Ahsoka had fought Sith. That the same thing happened to them when she hit them with her lightsaber. They just turned into smoke, and their armor just fell down. So she's encountered Sith like that before. So, but I don't know that it's ever been explained what they were. Were they, were they Night Sister magic? Were they Force ghosts? Like, I don't know what they were, and I don't know if anybody's ever explained that before. But it is something we've seen at least once before. Because I remember in one of the animated shows, Ahsoka fought a Sith. I don't remember if he was an Inquisitor or what he was, but she fought a Sith, and the same thing happened to that dude. So I'm guessing it's the same thing. And then there's a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors that that's what's up with all those night troopers too. Is they're not really there. They're all like fucking smoke in those armors, which is why they have all the red wrappings around them of the Night Sisters. because the Night Sisters are wearing all red, and then you see there's all these red wrapped material around their arms and their chest and across their armor and stuff. And so that's a rumor I've heard going around that Thrawn's night troopers are just like Force ghosts or Force smoke or something. I don't know, held together with Night Sister magic. So
that would actually make sense.
So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I have no idea. I'm guessing we'll see before the end of the show. Of course, we're also supposed to get Anakin in the next 2 episodes in some capacity. I don't know if we're going to get him to the level we did in episode 5, where he was in most of the episode, in the world between worlds. So I don't know what capacity we're supposed to get Anakin in again, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm loving the damn show, man. This is basically Rebels season 5. That's what this is.
Yes,
and
definitely.
As somebody who loved Rebels, I'm digging it, man. You know, so
I am too. It's great.
I'm really enjoying it. I know there's a lot of people out there. I keep seeing all these videos popping up on YouTube about how Ahsoka is ruining Star Wars. I'm like, what? Then you must have also thought Rebels ruined Star Wars.
No kidding.
Because this is just more Rebel. That's all this is. They just called it Ahsoka because she's the most popular character. But this is just Rebels season 5. That's all this is. But, and we've talked about this before, I think, and Disney completely brought this on themselves. But I think what we have is a situation where we have hit a point where anything Disney does with Star Wars is going to be trashed by one side. Because one side is so used to now at this point Disney being woke garbage that they just assume everything is, and they will nitpick and find problems in everything that is Star Wars that Disney produces.
I've heard Disney is actually trying to change some stuff around for Jenna Ortega.
What
have you heard anything? Have you heard anything about it?
She have her in Star Wars?
No, not in Star Wars, just in other stuff in general. Because how well she done on Wednesday. Because the chick that opened her mouth that played the recent Snow White, they fired her, and Jenna's supposed to take over her roles and different stuff that she was already scheduled to be in. But Jenna's like, I don't want to do any of that woke bullshit. I don't want that at all. And you're going to have to pay me more money.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'd say good on her and good on them because she did great when Wednesday.
What's her name?
Yeah, I don't. The chick who plays Snow White or whatever, I've seen her in 1 or 2 things. So I don't really have an opinion on her acting ability. You know what I mean? I mean, as a human being, the way she's been bitching and whining and saying all this crap, she's obviously a horrible human being. But I don't really have a stance on her acting ability. However, Jenna Ortega, I've seen in a bunch of shit, and she can act, and she does a good job.
Yeah.
So, I heard that they greenlit Wednesday season 2.
Oh, dude, yeah, hell yeah, they did. They greenlit that months ago. They greenlit that. That was greenlit the week after it premiered on Netflix.
Oh shit, I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just saw a video 2 days ago where they were talking about Jen Ortega and that other chick, how Disney fired her because of she was saying shit outside of Disney that they didn't authorize her to say, and they had a canner.
I would think that was a grain of salt, because I've seen no official things about they fired Rachel. What's her name? They're not going to make any moves until the movies. They've already invested too much money in the movie. They won't do any kind of firings until after, or make any promotion, any announcements whatsoever.
Yeah, they got to still try to make money on the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, just about everything Disney's put out recently is fucking tanked.
No, there's no doubt, but they still look how they haven't said they fired Ezra Miller yet. They want to release that shit pile Flash movie before they still haven't made an announcement that he's fired yet.
True.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. I mean,
all I know is, while we're still kind of near Star Wars, is based on Honda and Duke, if reading some of the books makes you so hateful and bitter towards everything Star Wars, then I don't want to read those books.
Well, I read all those books, and I'm not. Now, look. I mean, look. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be real honest. Disney has put out some shitty Star Wars, but Disney has also put out some great Star Wars. Okay, let's not forget things that were great in Star Wars that have come out since Disney has owned them: Rebels, Rogue One, The Mandalorian, Andor. Those have all been awesome things that Disney Star Wars produced. Now, they also produced the sequel trilogy, which 2 of those movies straight up sucked. Were like horrible fucking movies. And then there are middle of the road things for me, like the Obi-Wan and the Boba Fett shows. I didn't think they were horrible, but I didn't think they were good either. Like, they were okay. Those 2 shows, as I've said many times before, had good episodes and bad episodes, and overall were they were fine, I guess. They were fine as like intermediate Star Wars.
Obi-Wan was far worse than Boba Fett, and I hated Boba Fett.
Like I've said before, Boba Fett had a good 2-hour story in there. It could have been a good 2-hour movie about Obi-Wan. You know,
same with like with we were talking about with the Obi-Wan. Like that guy re-edited it, made it shorter, and he said it was great.
Yeah, and it was. He made it into like a 2.5-hour movie, and that's what it should have been. Boba Fett was one of those things where it's like first of all, the issues I have with Boba Fett were not the same as like Honda's issues with Boba Fett. For me, Boba Fett, them playing into the Sand People storyline for way too long, like that should have been 1 episode at best.
Yep.
Space Vespas were stupid as shit.
Those hipster Vespa bike gang would have made more sense with on Coruscant. Would have made more sense there, not on Tatooine.
Yes,
they were too clean, too like hipster looking to be on Tatooine.
Exactly,
and they would still get the shit kicked out of them on where they were at because of the way they looked.
But here's the thing: for me, if you take out 3 episodes of Sand People shit that I just think was just too much, and you take out Space Hipsters, I like Boba Fett. First of all, because 2 of the episodes were basically just Mandalorian episodes, which I like.
Yeah,
I thought they were good, and I like those. And the rest of it was fine. Like Honda hates it because he's like, no, Boba Fett would never try and be a fucking, kingpin criminal guy on Tatooine and take over for Jabba Hutt. He's supposed to be a badass space mercenary or whatever. And I'm like, why not? Like,
he would totally take over being a kingpin, but he would actually be a criminal. But Boba Fett in the series, he was wanting to be a good guy and be a crime lord.
Well, and my thing was, here's my thing. And I've read all the expanded universe stuff and all that kind of stuff, right? My thing is, and this is the issue I have, and it's the same issue that I've talked to many people about Luke, is that
No.
Boba Fett
what
was
I said about Boba Fett. Boba Fett's a fucking bitch in that show because he goes from a badass space mercenary to this guy who's like, well, I want to rule through peace and through cooperation between people. I want them to just listen to me without me having to tell them what to do because that would be wrong for me to force them. Like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Here's the thing. Where do you
heel down on someone's fucking head and you smash if they don't do what you want?
Okay, so where do you get the information? Where did you consume the information that Boba Fett was such a badass?
Life.
No, tell me what movie was Boba Fett such a badass in?
The one in my head.
Yeah, exactly. The one in your head that doesn't exist.
Precisely.
Because Boba Fett never had enough screen time in anything for us to ever think he was a badass. He just looked fucking cool, which is the only reason he got popular.
All right. Well, okay.
He was one of the fucking bounty hunters that Vader hired to find Han. That was it. And he happened to be the one that, how did he find Han? By being a big badass? No, he just had a ship and he followed the Millennium Falcon around until they stopped at fucking Cloud City.
Okay, what about from the cartoon series where like he fucking
that
where he had to fight
big
against the
badass.
fucking people and like the other Mandalorians, and he was like the most badass of all the other Mandalorians because he's fucking Boba Fett. I forgot what that was.
He wasn't. He didn't even consider himself a Mandalorian.
Right, he didn't, but he was still more badass than the Mandalorians who tried to fucking beat him up because they're like, or fucking whatever, because he wasn't a real Mandalorian or whatever, and he fucking pwned them.
When did this happen? What movie was this in?
It wasn't a movie, it was a cartoon. I forget which one. There's been so many, dude.
Well, I mean, the only cartoon he's ever been in was Clone Wars when he was a kid. Boba Fett played like a 14-year-old kid. He was in Clone Wars a couple times.
No, you're forgetting about one of the most epic animated adventures of Boba Fett ever, the Christmas special.
The Christmas. Oh yeah, the Christmas. I'm sorry, I forgot the fucking Christmas special. Yeah, sorry.
Because every time mentally blocked it out of
It was
their
so
brain.
badass.
Hey, the Christmas special is now canon because that's where Din Djarin's rifle come from.
It is true. That's where Din Djarin's rifle comes from, where he helped R2-D2 and C-3PO in that animated special. Piece of shit. Yeah, no. Boba Fett has not been in any outside of that fucking horrible Christmas special. Boba Fett has not been in any animated stuff as like armored up Boba Fett. He was a kid in Clone Wars where he was working as like a fucking rebel against, I can't even remember. He was only like in 2 episodes of Clone Wars, but he was still a kid. He was still like 14 years old. Boba Fett's never been in any. He was never in Rebels. He was never in Clone Wars outside of being a 14-year-old kid who didn't even have his armor at that point. Like he had it, but he didn't wear it in any of the episodes. So Boba Fett's not been in the animated universe of
Was it? I think it was in Bad Batch, maybe.
I don't know. I've never watched Bad Batch because that show sucks.
Yeah, granted, but I think it was in Bad Batch where he fucking.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he wasn't. He could have been in Bad Batch, and I just didn't see that. That could be true.
Boba Fett wasn't in Bad Batch.
I was gonna say I don't remember Boba Fett being in Bad Batch,
He wasn't in either.
and I actually forced myself to watch the second season of Bad Batch. And
All I'm saying is, I like Boba Fett as much as anybody, but in canon, even in the books I've read, Boba Fett is not as big of a badass as people have just, his reputation has become known because of the fact that he was a cool-looking character who had 5 minutes of screen time in 2 movies back in the 80s. And people have like implanted their need for him to be a cool badass when by all practical accounts of everything we've seen actually in movie or TV form, Din Djarin is a way bigger badass than fucking Boba Fett is. He was a way more successful bounty hunter than fucking Boba Fett was. He was he's a better fighter than fucking Boba Fett is. Now, what I'm saying is there is nothing in canon to back up the fact that Boba Fett would never act the way he did in the Boba Fett series. There's nothing actually in canon that goes against what was in that series.
He's a psycho killer. Vader even told him, don't disintegrate.
Okay, let's grant that what you are saying is true because I'm tired of arguing about it. Right? That still doesn't make that fucking show good. The storyline sucked. The fucking dudes on those gay ass speeders that were like his gang helping him out. Those guys were dumb. The fucking like the way the Ram Corps ran around and did stuff and all of a sudden listened to him. That shit wouldn't happen. Like Jesus Christ, dude.
All I said was I don't dislike Boba Fett for the same reasons you do. I didn't say I didn't dislike Boba Fett. I said the Sand People shit should have been less than an episode, one and done. The Vespas were fucking stupid, and the 2 best episodes of that show were the 2 episodes that were basically just Mandalorian 2.5 and had nothing to do with Boba Fett. I'm just saying I just dislike it for different reasons than you do. That's all I'm saying. Because the stuff with Boba Fett in it, trying to be a kingpin or whatever, and trying to run the town, like that didn't bother me. because I don't have any preconceived notions about who Boba Fett's supposed to be. I'm just like, okay, well, that's what he's doing. Fine. That didn't bother me. That's not to say it was a good show.
The worst part too about it was the fact they got the guy that played Jango Fett to play him, and he's almost 70 years old, and he should be in his 40s.
Yeah, no shit. They should have gotten a new actor to play Boba Fett. They totally should have, because he's only supposed to be like, if we go by the timeline, he should be, by the time we get to when gets his armor back and he meets up with the Mandalorian and everything, he should be like in his mid to late 30s. That's how old he should be. He shouldn't be pushing fucking 65 or whatever that actor is. That dude's like twice as old as Boba Fett should be.
With dentures, that's very clearly bad dentures.
Yeah, very clearly bad dentures. Yeah.
Like
They
a
totally should have fucking recast that role. And again, no disrespect to the actor.
Oh yeah,
but like
he
Boba
was
Fett
great when he
should be like
played the
35
clones
to
and-
40 at the most.
when he played the clones and Din Djarin and all that stuff. Well, not Din Djarin, Jango Fett. He did great in the prequels and stuff like that.
Yeah, he was in his 40s. That's fine. He was in his 40s playing those roles and all that kind of stuff. And they did kind of de-age him a little bit when they had him as the clones. And that's fine. Worked great. But Boba Fett is only supposed to be like at most 40 years old. By the time we get to him, we catch back up with him on The Mandalorian. So they totally should have just recast. And it would have made more sense to recast because of the fact that now you have a young actor who you can have portray clones as well.
Yep.
And you don't have to like digitally edit them and all this shit. You've got another actor who can be
It's like
Fett, who
not
can be the clones.
It's the
who
same
can be
stupidity
all the
not
shit.
getting the guy that plays the Winter Soldier to be young Luke.
No shit, right?
It's
Like they told Sebastian Stan should
that's it.
totally fucking be Luke Skywalker. They should have recast. They should recast all of them and have them doing Star Wars again.
Yep.
And here's what I'd be fine with: you recast those characters, Luke, Han, Leia. You recast them, and you have them do movies. And then you have Ahsoka and the Rebels crew and Din Djarin and everybody else do the TV shows under Dave Filoni. And we've got good Star Wars back. And we got good characters back. And you start to, as they've been doing with Ahsoka, you start to do a play on a lot of that expanded universe shit, those great books we got from the 90s. You know, you can do a play on like a great, I'll be honest, a great book that would make for a great movie. I don't know how many people read this one or if you remember it, Truce at Bakura, where it's like right after Return of the Jedi, and there's that prince that's trying to fucking win over Princess Leia to get her to marry him, while at this point her and Han are like, you know, really serious, and there's this whole shit, and it's got like galaxy fucking level repercussions because they're trying to now restart the New Republic, and they need all the allies they can get. Like you could do, you know, like takes on you don't have to do the exact same story we got in the books, but like Dave Filoni is doing a lot of cool stuff, clearly inspired by, you know, the Thrawn trilogy and all these other things. You can do that in movie form, and you save the movies for your big three characters. You just recast them, and then on TV you can do your Ahsokas and your Rebel characters and all this stuff. You know, I don't know.
That would be nice.
Disney clearly hates the idea of the New Republic, though.
Yeah, they do. They're showing them as essentially being weak.
Morons.
Like to the point that like, oh, we don't want to be the Empire, so much so that we're going to intentionally weaken ourselves.
Yeah,
We're intentionally going to make ourselves weak and susceptible, which is fucking stupid as shit.
yeah, and tearing apart all the Empire's resources and rebuilding different ships. Just slap a different logo on it. There, it's New Empire.
Which, by the way,
New
in the
Republic.
books, they did do a lot of that in the books. They just didn't do it the way they're doing it here. You know, they had their shipyards rebuilding new ships instead of just using Star Destroyers. They had their shipyards build all new ships. You know, what was the one called? The what was it called? The something Hawk, which was the New Republic's equivalent of a Star Destroyer. I want to say it was like called the Super Hawk, but I know that wasn't it. But I know it had the word Hawk in it.
There really is no reason to even do that because the Star Destroyers just repurposed old Republic ships.
Yeah,
they built new Star Destroyers, but they had ships just like that in the old Republic.
Yeah. We got a super chat here. Kowloon says, "Read my last chat. Don't try to skip this super this time." To which he said, "Bo-Katan is canonically older than him. New canon is trash." I don't think it's trash. I think it's different. I don't think it's trash. But you are right. Bo-Katan is supposed to be older than Boba Fett. Now, Bo-Katan should be in her mid to late 40s. And they got Katie Sackhoff playing her, and she's in her early to mid 40s. So she's a little younger than she's portraying, but it works, which means Boba Fett should be in his mid to late 30s.
They should be around about the same age. Or well, a little bit old, little bit younger. They could have got actors around the same age.
Yeah. Not some dude who's in his fucking 60s to play Boba Fett and all the clones. So, but yeah, but you know, whatever. I don't know. I do like Bo-Katan though. Bo-Katan's a great character. I liked Bo-Katan from Clone Wars and from Rebels, and I think Katie Sackhoff's done a great fucking job playing her in Mandalorian. So,
well, she is the Mandalorian now. So
she is the Mandalorian, and she has the fucking Darksaber and everything. Like she's fucking.
Well, they destroyed the Darksaber, but
did they? Wait, did I miss? They destroyed it?
Yeah.
Why did I forget that? I don't even fucking remember that shit. Maybe I need to rewatch season 3. Oh, anyway.
Gus Fring destroyed the Darksaber.
That's saber. Right, he fucking did. I completely forgot about that shit. That's right, he did. But yeah, no, I like Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan's a badass. Bo-Katan is a great example of when I say I think we've, and again, this is completely Disney's fault, so it's not like I'm blaming the people that are upset. I'm blaming Disney. But we've gotten to that point where, like, there are some people who just will now hate on anything Disney does because when, especially in season 3 of Mandalorian, when Bo-Katan came out, I remember the episode when Bo-Katan went and saved Din Djarin, and she was using the fucking Darksaber like a fucking boss to go save him. All the people on one side of the I hate Disney crowd fucking were like, this is stupid, and they're just trying to make a female character cool, and they're making her more badass with the Darksaber than Din Djarin, which just tells me you just wanted to hate on shit because she knows how to use that sword. She is a better warrior than Din Djarin. She's been fighting since she was a little kid. She was raised to be a fucking warrior. She had the Darksaber for fucking years and knew how to use it. Of course, she's more badass.
They show up in season 1 that she saves his ass.
Yes,
from the pirates.
Like, yes, I'm sorry, Bo-Katan is more badass than Din Djarin. She always has been, and that's what I don't like. I don't like it when people on one side are like, everything woke Star Wars does is great, and the other side is everything woke Star Wars does sucks. It's like, no, there is middle ground there. Some of it's good, some of it sucks.
Well, they before they realized how cool she was, they tried to hate on Gina Carano's Cara Dune, like for kicking the shit out of them.
Oh yeah,
Matt. Only a Spith. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Only a Sith speaks in absolutes.
Yes, I got you. I knew where you were going with that. But no, I'm really digging Ahsoka. I'm digging it. I've liked these last 2 episodes. Been fucking great. I mean, the whole series I've enjoyed, but these last 2 episodes have been really fucking good. I'm really digging them. I'm sure Duke hates them for some unknown reason, even though he hasn't watched them.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about
the continuation of your statement. What does Spitz only speak of? Spittoons?
Well, here's the thing about Ahsoka. If you don't know the backstories of like Ezra, like why would you care about Ezra? You don't know the backstory about fucking Ahsoka. Why would you care about Ahsoka? Like all of these different things are going on in the storyline that you don't care about and don't know about and don't have any like, you're not invested in it. So
yeah.
That's why
Well,
you didn't like it.
and like I said, I completely blame Disney here because for all those people that didn't ever watch Clone Wars and Rebels, and so they might have heard the name Ahsoka, but they don't really know who she is. And if they've never watched Ezra, they don't know any of those fucking characters, right? I understand why there is that initial reaction to go, oh, they're just trying to do woke women Star Wars with all these female characters. And it's completely Disney's fault because they did this for so fucking long. They made so many mistakes with modern Star Wars that they've got people just instantly ready to be triggered by anything they don't understand.
I will say this though. Ezra better be bad. Like when like they get in fights and shit, like Ezra's got to be fucking like super badass because not only was he like trained, like a trained Jedi and like trained in the field, like while fighting fucking everybody and doing everything that he did, but then he had to like survive on this fucking weird ass planet with like fucking dudes who want to kill him everywhere the whole time. And like, dude, this guy's gonna be badass.
Thrawn's been hunting for him for 10 fucking years on this planet and shit.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, he better be a fucking badass. And I have a feeling he's going to be. Because here's what I'm guessing is going to happen. I'm guessing that we are going to get some fighting in the next episode between Baylan and Shin versus Sabine and Ezra. And Ezra's going to be a badass. But in the end, like I said, I think Baylan is not a bad guy. I don't think he's a Sith. I think he's more of a gray Jedi. I think he's got a plan, and that plan kind of hinges around finding Ezra. I think he's got a plan. He's clearly, because he's talked about it, he clearly does not want to see the Jedi Order come back because he sees they made all kinds of mistakes. But, you know, like I said, I mean, when the opportunity arose, when he was talking to Shin about how he trained her, he didn't say, I trained you to be a Sith when she was asking about the Jedi. And she's asking about the Jedi and Ezra and all this stuff. He's like, they were trained to be Jedi and all this stuff. I trained you to be better. He didn't say, I trained you to be different. He didn't say, I trained you to be a Sith. He says, I trained you to be better. I don't think he's a bad dude. I think maybe he's a gray Jedi. And he's got his own plans. And I don't think his plans consist of killing Sabine and Ezra. I think he needs them for something, specifically Ezra. I think he's got a plan. But I do think we still have to get a lightsaber battle between all four of them, though. I mean, we can't not have that. It's fucking Star Wars.
Everybody's got a plan till they get lightsabered in the face.
Yep, or up the butthole.
Or in the chest, I mean.
Yes, true.
R.I.P. Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
How many people have been stabbed in the chest with a fucking lightsaber now that have lived? Qui-Gon's just like,
what the fuck? Yeah. Qui-Gon's cool because Qui-Gon's one of those characters though, and the more that like lore has gone on and more stories have been written and we found out more about Qui-Gon, like he was basically a gray Jedi. I mean, he was a part of the Jedi Order. He was a Jedi Knight. He was a Jedi Master, whatever, right? But when you go back and you read about him, like he was definitely an outsider among the Jedi. He thought it was okay for Jedi to have personal connections and to fall in love. He thought that, they shouldn't focus so much on politics and just being guardians of the Republic. Like he was a gray Jedi essentially in the way he, in his beliefs and stuff.
Was he the gray Jedi or was he the gray Jedi?
He wasn't the gray Jedi.
I'm the gray Jedi.
He was a gray Jedi. But to my knowledge, Qui-Gon never had a really boring blowjob story about being in the military.
Yeah, how many people know that fucking reference? Hopefully everybody.
A reference. I would love for some people to get that reference, but I don't know how many people here know what the fuck we're talking about. But
unfortunately, I know exactly what you're talking about. It was the worst story about a blowjob I've ever heard.
Like, how do you make a blowjob story boring? There you go. We did it. We found a way to do that.
I can go the rest of my life without ever hearing or thinking about this story ever again, and be quite okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyway,
I guess you could say where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, we shouldn't have asked, and he shouldn't have told.
Yeah.
And to the people that have bitched about there not being any strong women in Star Wars, Princess Leia.
Yeah.
She wasn't exactly a pushover.
Oh, from the very beginning, she was a strong character.
Well,
Exactly.
From the minute they go
2000 don't count.
Oh yeah, apparently. Like, and that's another one of those things, and I've said that so many goddamn times. But I hate getting lectured by these new little fucking zillennial bullshit motherfuckers about how we old school geek culture motherfuckers are somehow, racist, sexist, homophobes. It's like, motherfucker, we grew up reading and watching the stuff that predates any of your woke garbage, where there were female characters who were badass heroes.
And we love them, and we still love them.
Characters who fucking were badass heroes. With all this shit that you preach about, like you're the first one to fucking think of it. We've been reading the comic books, watching the movies, watching the TV shows that had these characters in it for fucking decades. And so when we bitch about new stories or new movies or whatever it is, it's because they suck, not because we have a problem with female characters or characters of color or any of that shit. It's because you're writing shitty fucking stories.
100%.
Yep.
So, I don't know, man. It pisses me off. But all these little millennials think they know best. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Sorry.
Go
Well,
crawl
okay.
back in your room.
When you were like 18, 19, 20 years old, you knew everything too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you got to cut them a little slack.
Sure. I mean, I can cut them a little slack in the sense they feel like they know everything, but I also didn't go around lecturing people on bigger, larger political issues about fucking race and feminism.
No.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Me personally, at 18, 19, 20 years old, I was working my ass off by that time, and you got all these fuckers that don't want to do jack shit these days, but collect freebies.
I mean,
I'm
honestly, a big part of it is like what they've been taught and what their expectations out of what's going to happen with their life based upon what happened. I mean, this isn't the chat for that, but like what happens in the education system and like what school teaches them, and they get out of school and they're like, well, I know everything, but there's like certain things that specifically are left out of your schooling if you go to public school that they really don't want you to know about, like how to properly file taxes or start a business or multitude of other things that they just never teach you about, right? No. They just want to teach you how to earn money by going to a job.
They teach you how to be offended by everything nowadays, including everything that happened before your lifetime, because you're the first one to ever think of having a woman be a hero character in a movie. That's what they teach you. When it comes to geek culture, that's what they teach you. Oh, there were no female heroes before the last 5-10 years. Bullshit.
Yeah,
well, there were no black characters in geek culture before 5 or 10 years ago. No, that's not true. There were no gay characters on television before 2010. No, not true at all. Well, none of that shit is true.
It's also made trained people
to fans racist and bigots because people didn't like Discovery's bad writing.
Yeah, it also trained people to make like wild assertions about groups of people based upon lack of evidence that they don't have. Just like, oh, there's a bunch of white people in here, therefore, blah blah blah. Yeah,
it's like, oh, I don't like new Star Wars or I don't like new Star Trek because the stories suck. Well, that's because you're a racist. No, pumpkin. It has nothing to do with that. It's because the stories suck. I grew up with better stories, better characters, better plots, better everything. No, you're just a racist, homophobic bigot. No, I'm not.
My favorite captain is Captain Sisko. So there you go.
Better lead actress.
Oh, by the way, Honda, did you hear? I'm going back and finally rewatching a Star Trek show.
Oh God, which one?
Voyager.
I mean, Voyager it does have a lot of good episodes in it. There's a lot of shit episodes of Voyager, though.
I will say, I'm almost done with season 2, and I gotta say, going back and watching it, we were talking about this earlier. One thing I have been pleasantly surprised with is, one, the Kazon do not show up nearly as much as I remembered they did, which is good.
You're not through them yet. They keep coming back.
Well, I know, but it's like 3 times a season at this point. You know what I mean? Which in a 26 episode season ain't that much, right? And the other thing is, they also don't suck as much as I remembered. Like, they still ain't great, but they aren't as bad as I remembered.
They look like that dude from Ancient Aliens.
I like Seska, like fuck that. character. Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, she is an annoying character. She is an annoying character.
Voyager is
That was like
that's
a
the
unnecessary twist to have like one of the be like a surgically altered Cardassian.
I don't know. She's like a Mary Sue in reverse, like an evil Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Who's just like, oh, I know how to do everything. Oh, I've got everything figured out in advance. Oh, I had that plan going since 5 years before the show started. You know, like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a dark Cardassian that knows
Although-
everything about Federation technology.
I just watched the episode in season 2 here earlier today, actually. That brings back one of that or this is the first appearance of one of my favorite characters on Voyager, and he's only in like 2, maybe 3 episodes. I can't remember. I know he's in at least 2, maybe 3. But his first episode is in season 2, and it's he's one of my favorite characters on the show. Is Suitor, the fucking serial killer?
Yeah, I liked him too.
I
Yeah,
like
he
him
was
so
a good character.
He's a great character. I mean, granted, he's only in a couple episodes, but like when he's on the show,
He was
a
in a
great
good
character.
episode of Babylon 5 too.
Oh yeah. I like him. He's a good genre actor in
He's
like
also
sci-fi
Chucky.
stuff. Yeah, he's Chucky. But he's a good sci-fi, horror actor. I like him. But yeah,
Voyager's
he
the
just
one
showed
with
up. It's the
Janeway,
first
right?
episode. It's the first episode. It's like midway season 2. I was watching it earlier today. It's that episode he shows up and he finally just snapped and was like, I gotta kill somebody. And then he mind melds with Tuvok, who then starts fucking losing his shit. That's a great episode of Voyager.
Yeah, like I said, there's some really, really good episodes, but there's
Corey,
also it's like sprinkled with
Janeway.
just like shit here and there,
Yeah.
you know. And then the other thing that I was gonna say about it is Catherine Janeway. I don't remember the actress's name who plays her.
Yeah.
But I watched this like 20 years later, like, hey, let's all get together and talk about Voyager, like the cast of Voyager, like Tuvok's all old and looking like Obama and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out, like, through watching that Catherine Janeway's real life children hate the show, refuse to ever watch it because, like, she spent so much time working on the show and away from her kids and doing stuff and partying when they were little that they got like neglected and fucking like basically abused by not having their mother around because of the show.
Yeah, it was Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I
that's
will
amazing.
say,
That's
in the
kind of
first-
back in the day, those really long series, they were grueling on the actors of Star Trek. That's why Terry Farrell wanted to leave. They fired her for the last season of Deep Space Nine because she wanted she wanted to take her from being a full-time cast member to a part-time cast member. She didn't want to leave. They said, "Fuck that! We're going to kill your character off, and you're fired."
Although let me
So she
just
wanted
say,
to have a life.
I did.
They were working like 18-hour days, like when they were shooting. So
Let me just say though, it only happens a couple times in the first couple seasons, but there's like an episode in season 1 and there's an episode in season 2 when like it's Janeway, like something happens to her, something happens. There's like a fucking emergency situation that happens in like the middle of the night, and she gets woken up from bed. And can I just say, like, and granted, this is in like 1995. But like Catherine Mulgrew with like her hair down in like a fucking nightgown looks pretty fucking hot. I just gotta say.
Yes, he was.
I'm just saying, like, I was like, oh, because she never looks like that on the show. There's like 2 episodes where it's like her just like laying in bed all like this in a fucking nightie.
Dude, that reminds me of the time that Night Strike said Whoopi Goldberg was hot.
Oh God, no.
Well, it's one of the things she actually hated Jerry Ryan come on the show because Jerry Ryan was so fucking hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, because Jerry Ryan is the hottest female that's ever been in any Star Trek.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude. 7'9".
Oh, especially at
Damn.
the time, dude. Like when she'd wear, I don't even remember how old I was when that show came out. But just like, damn, I gotta watch Star Trek. Like,
Yeah.
Little Timmy's like, "Mommy, my pants are tight."
Didn't Jerry Ryan also play on that show Sentinel?
Did she? She might have. I don't know. I haven't watched Sentinel in a really, really, really long time. So.
Yeah, same here. But I think I remembered her on Sentinel.
Wait. Yes, wasn't she? She played the female version of him. She had like the
Yeah.
same types of powers he did. She was only in a few episodes though, right?
Yeah, she was, but that was like the first time I could remember seeing Jerry Ryan outside of looking like 7 and 9, where she had looked,
Well,
like a
because she
normal
actually
woman.
did Sentinel before she was on Voyager. That's how
Was
she
it?
got the gig on Voyager. Yeah.
Okay.
Because remember,
It's
she
been
didn't
so
show up.
fucking long.
She didn't show up on Voyager until season 4. Sentinel started around the same time as Voyager did back in like 1995.
Mhm.
And she was on that show working for UPN because both shows were on UPN. And then at starting in season 4, they brought the new character of 7 and 9 on, but she had already been on Sentinel, I think, at that point.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think that's how she got the
ago.
gig. That's how she got the gig as 7 of 9. Was she was already working on another UPN show.
I forgot about Sentinel.
Yeah, me too. Until we're talking about Jerry Ryan's fine ass. She still looks good to this day.
Oh
All
God,
right,
yes,
let me
she
get this
does.
super chat here real quick. Kellen says, "LOL, read my last chat. Grew up on Voyager though." He says, "Don't you like how the number of shuttles they had is totally made up and they pull it out of their butts every week?" Oh yeah. Well, first of all, every show does that. Every Star Trek show has always done that. I think the only one I remember. Actually, no, that's not true. They did it on Next Generation. They did it on the original series. They did it on Voyager. However, the two shows they didn't do that on were Deep Space Nine because they only had 3 runabouts and they were all named ships. Yeah, they were named after rivers. There was the Rio Grande. What were the 3 runabouts?
The Sao Paulo.
The Sao Paulo, and then the Ganges. There you go. They had 3 runabouts that were named after rivers, and that's all they ever had. And then on Enterprise, they only had 2 shuttle pods: Shuttle Pod 1, Shuttle Pod 2, and that's all you ever saw. But the other shows would all just be like, "Oh, there's just an endless supply of fucking shuttles. Whenever we need a new shuttle, there's one there."
Yeah, they've actually done like,
No matter how many get blown up.
like YouTube channels talking about explaining like how they don't run off shuttlecraft.
Yeah. Although it was the most egregious with Voyager because of the fact that they were not, they had like they would blow up a shuttle and then magically another one would appear and then that one would blow up and magically another one would appear.
You should as you watch it, you should pay attention to how many they go through, like how many times the fucking shuttlecraft blows up.
I think so far they've only lost 1 shuttle by where I'm at in season 2.
There's actually YouTube channels actually gone through that, like how many shuttles they lost, and it's like here's something too. Where I'm Star Trek geek. When they made the Delta Flyer because they needed something better than the smaller shuttles they had they can manufacture. There's a captain's yacht. The Delta. There's a
no shit, right? Yeah, which is clearly like it's in every model that you see in the show. You can see the captain's yacht there attached to the underside of the saucer section.
Yep, and it's a cool looking shuttle.
It is a badass looking shuttle, and it's bigger than a runabout. And I think I've seen the specs on it. It can do like warp 9.4 on its own.
Oh yeah, it is a badass little ship.
Yeah, and it's got it has a limited supply. It does have photon torpedoes and full phasers. Like it's a badass little ship, and it's never talked about in the show, like ever, not once. But whatever. Although I mean, in defense, right? Like they never did the captain's yacht ever make an appearance in Next Generation?
Only in the Nemesis.
Yeah, I know it did in one of the movies, but like in the TV show, it never made an appearance, even though it was there.
No, it never did on the TV show.
They were using runabouts on Star. Remember in the last couple seasons of Next Generation, because runabouts had been made big because of Deep Space Nine. They were using like runabouts and shit for the captain to go on vacation and all this stuff. It's like, dude, you have a fucking captain's yacht right there. But yeah,
the bottom of the saucer on most Federation ships is a captain's yacht.
Yep. Mm.
Do you think they still eat chickens?
I think it's all replicated stuff, but yeah.
Right, but is there like some dude somewhere who's got a chicken? Because like there's like, oh, we can make wine, but you know, like Picard still got his vineyard, and like they can, you know, like there's still farmers and stuff who make stuff because people want real food.
Yeah.
Cisco cooks with real food, and so does Dad.
There's got to be, right? Like they didn't just ban livestock.
Well,
They would if they never talked about it.
Cisco's dad actually talks about like I don't want you having like to eat all that replicated food. He fixes real food. He's got a restaurant.
Yeah. I could imagine eating replicated food. That's got to be
Well,
bad.
Voyager, they have to eat real food because the replicators use too much energy, so they have Neelix cook.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's another thing I was thinking about the other day. Geek related. The Matrix, right? And they come to the real world and they're sitting on the Nebuchadnezzar and they're all sitting around eating their bowls of goop, right?
Mhm.
What do you think the goop is made of? And my answer was bugs. It's just bugs that because there's what else can you eat? It's the fucking future where nothing but like cockroaches fucking survive and like everything's dead on the surface. And
well, I mean, in Zion, they do have like full fucking gardens and shit where they grow stuff. Like they in Zion, they have farms and shit. I don't know if I never saw any livestock.
Right.
Well, you figure they'll eat rodents and stuff too.
Yeah. That
Like
could
on the
actually look like
Demolition Man,
grits too.
Demolition Man, the rat burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, what was the name of that the train movie where they all had to fucking eat the bugs and they didn't?
Oh yeah,
know?
Snowpiercer.
Yeah, Snowpiercer. That the fucking skeleton bars or whatever.
Fucking roach loaf. Yeah.
But didn't it also have like human meat in it as well?
All I'm saying is, dude, if you're Cypher and you know that shit's made out of bugs, and you have to sit there and eat and slop up your bug slime for dinner every day, you might want to go back into the Matrix as well.
Yeah, no shit. That stuff looked like Jabba the Hutt snot. Snotted in their bowl.
Yep. Well, now I'm hungry. Jesus.
Just look at that picture I sent you the other day, Matt, of the Brahms. You'll be all right.
No, fuck you, sir. Go fuck. Jesus. Some bullshit there. All right, what else do we got? I'm out of topics for this geek chat. Do we have anything else? Did anybody consume any other geek media this week?
Did you guys watch Ahsoka? No, I'm just kidding.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, and it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that new movie, that alien movie. I watched Ahsoka, and then I've been watching Voyager all week. Like that's really all I've done all week. Is just watch that. I haven't watched anything else. I don't know if there's any new movie. I know next week that movie, The Creator, comes out, which I do want to go see that.
I want to see that as well. Yeah.
I'll probably go see that. If I get a chance to go see it, we'll talk about that one next week. I don't think I've really watched anything else this week. I've just been watching a bunch of fucking Voyager. And when you're watching an hour-long show and each season is, 23 to 26 episodes, like it takes you a while to get through it. The fact that I'm already almost done with season 2 in a week is pretty extraordinary. But like,
I miss having them on Netflix because I would watch them all reruns of TNG, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, and TOS all the time.
Yeah.
Then Paramount's like, "Fuck you, we're taking them all, and you have to pay us to watch them now."
Yeah.
I know. And with Paramount, and the other thing about Paramount is you still have to watch ads.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? That's why I just watch stuff on the website, man. If it's on Netflix or Amazon, like I'll watch it there. If it's on anything else, I don't. I just watch it on the website. Because what's the point? Everything else has ads now. Paramount has ads. I guess Disney doesn't have ads, but I don't really. The only thing I'm right now, I only watch. Here's the thing about Disney is it's once in a while. Like I'm gonna watch. I'm watching Ahsoka now. Okay, cool. And then as soon as Ahsoka's over, we're getting Loki season 2. But that's it. Like, it's the only two things I'm watching. I'm only watching Star Wars or Marvel stuff, which isn't all the time. So most of the time, I'm not watching Disney Plus at all. I already told my wife, I was like, because I pay for it by the year. I already told her, I was like, we're not gonna renew it this year because the kids don't even really watch it anymore. So like, there's no point in keeping it. And not to mention, I can watch that same shit on the website. no problem. I don't need Disney Plus to watch Ahsoka. You know? So, yeah, I'm gonna my subscription expires I think in November. I'm just gonna fucking let it expire. I'm not even gonna renew it.
November we get season 2 of Invincible starting.
Which is Amazon, which I'm keeping Amazon because everybody, I mean, just for the shipping and all that shit. I mean, Amazon's worth
it was
no matter
years
what.
before even bothered to watch anything on Amazon because they didn't really have that much. Then,
have you heard anything about when we're supposed to get season 2 of that? What's that show with Chris Pratt, where he was set up as kind of like the fall guy in the military.
Oh yeah, I'm blanking on the name of it, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, they said it got renewed for season 2, but it's Amazon, which means God knows how long it takes between seasons. I still got to finish watching the last season of Jack Ryan. I haven't watched that yet.
I haven't either, and I know that was supposed to be like the final season. But have you heard anything about when we're gonna get Game of Thrones too? Or not Game of Thrones.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah, House of the Dragon.
No, probably gonna be another couple fucking years or some shit.
By the time they come out with it, people are gonna forget the first season and be like, "Yeah, we done moved on. You waited too long."
Which sucks because the first season was so damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's say you could own a real lightsaber, right?
Yes.
But they were expensive.
Yes.
Like really expensive.
Yes.
How much money would be like the maximum amount that you would pay for one?
I would sell one of my children to get a lightsaber. I don't know. I feel like a real lightsaber would be like 10 to 20 grand.
Oh, he probably.
No, I was thinking like even more than that, but you would pay 20 grand. I would pay 20 grand for one, but I'm saying like, what's the price that you're like, all right, that's too much money. I guess the lightsaber's not for me.
I don't know, because like with everything, right? Like when it first comes out, it would be ridiculously expensive, but the longer it's out, and then you get other people making versions of lightsabers and shit, and eventually, prices come down, and it's like, just wait. And eventually it's going to be a price I'm willing to pay for a fucking lightsaber, even if I got to wait.
Like, what if that can't happen, though? There's like,
they will be dropped into the Earth's core before you don't come down in price.
All right, Morty.
When is that show coming back? Aren't we supposed to be getting a new season of Rick and Morty sometime soon?
Probably, but it's going to be stupid because they fired the dude that does the voice for Rick and Morty.
I mean, I'm still going to watch it to see if it's any good, but
that's kind of an issue.
It's like because he got allegations against him, then cleared, then they never hired him back.
The Terminal List, that was the name of that other show.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Terminal List.
All right, so you take chicken wings, like the drums, not the wings, but the drums.
Yes.
And put a little bit of salt on them, right? And then that that sriracha that's got the garlic and the seeds in it that comes in the jar. You slather the raw chicken with just a little bit of salt on them with this stuff, right? And then like stick it back in the fridge, like wait till the next day, and then pop them in the oven. Maybe put a little bit of like salt and pepper on top while they're cooking, a little garlic powder or something, like onion powder, whatever you like on your chicken. Oh my God. They come out so fucking good, dude.
That sounds good. I tell you what sounds good. Did you see that text I sent you, Matt, of the fucking jalapeno popper grilled cheese?
Yes, I did, and I'm totally making one of those.
No shit, that looked fucking amazing.
Yeah. I have made grilled cheese with jalapeno before, where I take just jalapeno slices and put it in there. So I've made something similar to that before, and it's absolutely delicious. I've never done it with jalapeno poppers wrapped in bacon in a grilled cheese sandwich, but I definitely have to try that now.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I put jalapeno on the grilled cheese too. And what you just said sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you the link that I sent Matt, Tim.
Okay.
Yeah, it looked absolutely delicious.
Yes, I did.
In the chat, Ghost Shadow's like at Geek Fusion, get a lightsaber. Then how do you recharge it? Same as you got a phaser or a blaster. If it's a lightsaber, it works in the same world. They're powered by those little magic crystals, kyber crystals.
Charge it with magic. The magic of love that comes from your heart.
They're magic.
Or like all the stuff we have now, a USB port. Plug it in.
The USB port to charge your fucking lightsaber.
Keep
That's
that
what we would
crystal
probably do, though.
soaked up.
We would probably do that. Although then it'd be like, it is going to have a little reader on there. You're at 33%. It's like, bitch, I'm fighting. What the fuck?
All right. Which Captain Planet ring power would you like to have?
Oh, here you go. You could only have a lightsaber if you would be forced to buy an EV because the EV battery pack would charge the lightsaber.
Oh, there you go.
Would you still have a lightsaber?
I would totally buy an EV to get a lightsaber. I mean, I'd still have my Suburban too, but I'd also have a lightsaber, so fuck everybody else. Okay, which Captain Planet power? I got to be fire. Fire's the cool one. Then you can kind of pretend to be Johnny Storm.
Right, but one dude can make like fissures open up in the ground underneath you, or earthquakes happen, or like islands to form in the ocean. And
Yeah,
another dude can make like fucking tidal waves and fucking crazy shit happen. You know, and then there's like the fucking like tornado dude. Like tornado power would be cool.
You know, you'd pick Heart.
Heart. The stupidest of all the Captain Power Planet. What did he ever do? I don't even remember. He would
Captain
like talk
Flowers.
to animals and shit.
Yeah, I think he influenced moods and shit. I don't
He
remember.
was the Dr. Doolittle of the team. Like, shut the fuck up, boys.
He would inspire people to recycle together.
Jesus.
I forget about that until we bring it up.
I always thought
Planet,
Captain
so,
Planet was pretty damn lame anyway. You get him dirty, he's like, oh, I'm powerless.
So stupid.
Just basically urinate on Captain Planet and he'd pass out.
Mm-hmm. Dumb shit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to wrap this one up today. It is time we go home. Well, I'm already home. You might be home too. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, I do care. I don't mean to sound
If you're not home, be careful getting home.
callous, but
You don't have to go home because the show's ending.
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I mean, you could stay here if you just wanted to rewatch the show again. I guess you could do that. That's completely up to you. But yeah, I think it is time to end this chat. I need to go eat dinner, and apparently so does Corey's dog.
That wasn't mine.
Okay, Tim's dog. Whoever's dog it was is also very hungry. I would suggest feeding that animal before it kills someone. But I need to go eat. I think I'm making nachos tonight because I feel like it. I have to make some delicious nachos, which I'm looking forward to. So that will do it for today. Of course, we got tomorrow night. We've got Collector Express work in progress. We got the custom chat tomorrow. Then later on in the evening, if you want to go check out Honda's chat, he's got his tomorrow. And then we'll be back on the NEA channel Monday for the G&G podcast. So be sure to come back for that one if it so entices you. And I think that will do it for today. So thank you guys for showing up, having fun with us, spend a little time talking about some geek-related things.
Mm-hmm.
And enjoy the rest of your weekend, you some bitches. And
stay geeky, fuckers.
We will see you 1 week from today. Actually, we'll see you. Well, because if you're on the Geek Fusion channel, we do the Friday night chat as well. So we got Friday and Saturday. So we got 2 geek chats in a row there. Plus, then we've got the Sunday geek chat, and then Honda's Sunday chat, and all kinds of. There's just chats for miles, people. You're welcome.
Chats for days.
That is it. We will see you guys next time. Have fun. Deuces, yo, all that good stuff that we like to say at the end of the chats. And we will see you guys next time. So later, dudes.